And welcome into your college football predictions right here on your Go Nation. Of course, got LouisianaGridironFootball.com's Andy Bryson. What is it, 52-14 on the year? An impressive streak you're on, and you called it last week. Let's give you some recognition. LSU, big win over number 10 Auburn, and now they turn their attention to Ole Miss. What I'm really watching for is this Dave Aranda defense. They made some adjustments you saw there after that.
Yeah.
Was it second quarter? They had about 16 passing yards the whole rest of the game.
Right.
So which secondary shows up against, I would say, the best passing offense in the Southeastern Conference? Shea Patterson. I guess my question to you would be over under 300 passing yards against an LSU defense that seems to be coming on.
That's hard to tell at this point. The thing about LSU's defense is that it all starts up front. It's not at the back end. The back end is a reflection of the front end. Okay. You know, the defensive line where all ball games are won at. I don't care what anybody else says. Defensive line wins football games. When they did a lot of stuff up front that we hadn't seen all year long. They moved Arden Key to defensive tackle. You know, you've had Frank Heron come back this week. Yeah. If those guys come to play, it's going to be well under 300 yards passing. Okay. If those guys, you know, they don't get that push up front, then you might see about 280, 350 yards passing. What
do you like to look for maybe in that first quarter of a ball game that goes, they came to play, it's going to be under 300 yards? What should LSU fans be watching for in that line play?
I want to see defensive tackles take on the center. Because if you take on that center up front, if that center by the end of the first quarter, if he's got his hands on his hips, then that defensive line is doing their job. You're wearing out that front three of the offensive line. The defensive line is doing their job, which means you take out that center out of the game, they can't run the ball in the middle. True, yeah. They can't pass. You know, now you're giving up. Now you're making that center snap that ball faster, maybe short snap. You might get a fumble on a snap. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see the defensive line attack that center, attack those front three offensive linemen.
If I'm hearing you right, you're calling for an LSU win there against Ole Miss. Is that more than 7 points? Is it really, really close coming? I mean, this is a rivalry game.
I think it's going to be a close game because I don't think LSU really wants to show all their hands 2 weeks before Alabama.
Something that I'm going to have my eye on is Tulane hosting South Florida. I know what you're going to tell me. They haven't won against a ranked team since so-and-so. But the Green Wave, I mean, Ullman Stadium should be rocking for this one, taking in a ranked team against the Bulls.
You know, they're the only undefeated FBS team in the state of Louisiana. Now, however, they have not won against a ranked team. You're going to like this. They have not won against a ranked team since 1982 when they played LSU. Yeah. Sorry, Alabama. When they played LSU, and they won 32-28. Okay. 1982. So I'm going with South Florida in this game.
Yeah, I knew you were.
But I really would like to see Willie Fritz and this team just come out to just beat.
I think we all would. Southern, and look, I know what you're going to tell me with this one too. Oh, Jackson State 0-6. It is at Veterans, but this is a rivalry game, and these are the type of games where you don't expect, the one that's having a really bad season, but that they sell out for this game because they know this is all they have to play for now.
Well, you also got the Battle of the Bands here too.
Yeah, Classic.
So this is going to be a good game even for the fans, regardless what the score is going to be. I think Southern's going to win this ball game. Yeah. Let's put that out there. However, these are two good programs. You can say whatever anybody can say what they want to. Oh, this should be a win. Well, LSU should have been a win over Troy. I'm going to throw it out there in everybody's face for the rest of the year. LSU should have beat Troy. Southern should beat Jackson State this week. Let's go with that.
Let's keep it in the SWAC. Alcorn State at Grambling.
Another rivalry game.
And look, the Braves 3-0 in the SWAC. Grambling, obviously the favorite to win the SWAC championship at this point. 2-0 in the SWAC. It's at Eddie Robinson Stadium up there in Grambling. But Coach Fobbs had something interesting to say this week. We're going to be prepared for a war. I mean, that's really what this game is, right?
Right. I mean, was it last year in the SWAC championships, Alcorn was up 14-0. Then before Grambling comes back to win that ball game, there's a lot of bad blood here. I look for Grambling to win this game, obviously, but then again, here I'm using that word obviously again. Yep. But I look for Grambling to win this ball game. Davante Kincaid's been on his game. I mean, even whenever they stop the pass against Grambling, Grambling has a great run at the backfield. They have 3 backs that can run the ball against you any day of the week.
Let's talk about another rivalry game, the rivalry in Dixie, as they call it. Louisiana Tech, 3.5-point favorites against Southern Miss. What do you see from the Bulldogs? It feels like they're on the cusp, and then they lose last week. What do you expect from them against the Eagles?
I expect to see a fight in this game. I mean, not a little
bad blood, really. I mean, you see some of the quotes going back and forth.
You see a lot of stuff on Twitter. You see a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Yep.
But this team here, Southern Miss, in the last 2 years, is what's kept La Tech from winning the Western Division. You have now you're going back home again, Joe Elite, where Southern Miss, they started this whole thing 2 years ago. La Tech's on a hot hand right now. If they win this ball game, they should be able to win the West.
A dangerous place you never really want to go play, Arkansas State. That's the task for the Raging Cajuns. UL, I think they're double-digit underdogs going up there to Arkansas. Can they keep it within 10 there against Arkansas State and what's really been a good program? But Coach Hudspeth, known for pulling out big games. He
is. However, I was at the Texas State game last week, last Thursday night, and again, it all starts up front with the defensive line for me. I mean, when I go to a game, I want to see how well the defensive line is. Because last week, what I saw up there was every other play, the defensive line would stand up out of their stance and then go forward, which means you're losing 2 yards every play because the offensive line is coming at you. So you lose 2 yards every play. If they get the push, if they can get the better technique on the defensive line, they can keep it within 10 or even probably win this ball game. But it all starts with that technique up front.
You always love to bring it back to the defensive line, back to the basics, the fundamentals of football. ULM, the Warhawks, I would call this even teams, basically, going to South Alabama because I believe they're about 4-point underdogs. Usually a home field advantage is 3 to 4 points. What can maybe you put South Alabama on upset alert as the Warhawks go on the road?
I would love to say yes on this one. And the reason is because I just love what Matt Viator has done with the ULM Warhawks this year. I think ULM was going to lose this ball game, but it's not going to be by much. It's going to be a very close game.
Okay. Let's go to maybe the most frustrated fan base in the entire country, the poor Demon fans there in Natchitoches. Northwestern State. Boy, it looks like they had the upset of the year on their hands against a top 10 ranked every year Sam Houston State Bearcats team, and then they lose it there in the last few seconds of the ball game. What do you see from them? Because they have to turn right around and play a very dangerous Central Arkansas team, who, by the way, #1 in the Southland Conference.
Northwestern State is a 58-minute team.
That's not good.
They're a 58-minute team. You go to Sam Houston, and if the game had only been 58 minutes, they win the ball game. The last minute and a half, last 96 seconds, last 90 seconds of the game, they lose the ball game. They're the best 58-minute team in probably the country. They just can't close it out. If they close out a ball game, they can start winning.
Let's go to the Pokes over there in Lake Charles. McNeese, a very good home team, taking on Incarnate Word. This should be a stat patter, right? That's what we like to call the easy games. This should be a stat patter.
Unfortunately, yes, I'm going to be at that game this weekend, and unfortunately, I want to say it will be a stat one. I like to see James Tabry get about 300 yards in this game. I think they're going to, Parker Orgeron's one of his sons. I think he should have a 3-digit receiving record, total.
Now let's go. The Lions out there in Hammond, they're going to go all the way. It's a tough road trip to go out to West Texas, try and win. I don't care how bad this Abilene Christian football team is. The offense seems to go to die out there in the swirling winds out there in Abilene, Texas. So what do you see from them? Is this a big test for the character of this football team?
It is. In the last 4 wins, their 4-game winning streak, they've averaged 49 points, over 500 yards of offense every game in these 4 wins. I expect the same, but I expect something along those lines because they're going to run for 300 yards, 300, 400 yards in this game.
Louisiana College on the road, also going to Texas, a lot closer out there in Marshall, out there in East Texas. So what do you see from the Wildcats going to take on East Texas Baptist?
This is a big rivalry game for these two schools. A border claw a matchup here. I'm going to call Louisiana College to win this ball game because they came out last week and played really good in their homecoming game. They did win the homecoming. Not too many teams this year has done that at home, but they did win their homecoming, and they have I think they have a good momentum going in this game.
That's why you're 52-14. This guy knows it all. Andy Bryson, LouisianaGridironFootball.com. And it's rivalry week right here on your college football predictions on your Go Nation.